Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Miller. I'm a psychiatrist at Clinical Trials of Texas. Today I'm talking a little bit about depression. When most people think about depression, the picture they get in their mind is that guy who is down all the time, he's persistently negative, maybe he's a little unkept. And the picture that people have is that that person is that way all the time. He's a depressed person. That somehow that's actually maybe even a part of their personality. Or they might picture somebody who's been through a bad time and they just don't recover from it. Sometimes they'll even picture that person maybe even has a flaw in their character that doesn't allow them to spring back from life's traumas. The reality, though, is it doesn't really work that way. Depression comes in a few different flavors, and it affects about 20% of the population. Nobody's immune from it. It crosses all socioeconomic barriers, and at any given time, about 10% of the population is actually meeting criteria for depression. When I say that depression comes in different flavors, it comes in a few different varieties. What we see clinically is that there's individuals out there who will present to a clinic and they've been in a normal mood state. They've been happy, they've been upbeat, they've been going to work, and then suddenly, for no reason at all that they can tell, they suddenly feel down and sad most of the time. Their energy drops, they don't have any motivation, they may have changes in their appetite or sleep, and this just continues. At a minimum, we think of depression as lasting about 2 weeks. And at that point, people start to wonder, gosh, what's going on with me? And they'll come in for treatment. So in that variety of depression, individuals don't really have a precursor or a reason that they got depressed. In another flavor of depression, people experience a trauma. Something happens, and they have a loss of a loved one, a loss of a job, maybe they break up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and they get sad. Now, sadness is normal. Everybody experiences it sometimes. But when you think back on your own life, what you'll recall is that when you go through something that bothers you, that you think about being sad or down relative to that thing. I'm down because of the breakup. I'm down because I lost somebody. And I'm sad about that one thing, but I may still feel pretty okay with the rest of my life. With depression, what can happen is that person will go from being sad or down about the breakup or sad or down about the other loss that they've experienced, and now they feel sad and down about everything. It goes from feeling that they're down about the breakup to feeling down about their job, feeling down about their friends, feeling down about everything in their life. When we talk about depression, this idea that some people are just depressed people is actually something very different. We call that dysthymia, when somebody's kind of always depressed. But when somebody's experiencing a depressive episode, it can be as short as 2 weeks. What we find with most people is that they experience episodic depression, so depression that lasts anywhere from a couple of weeks to maybe several months, and then they come out of it. But these times when they're feeling depressed can be really disabling. They can get to a point where they don't want to interact with their friends, where they don't want to go to work, where they don't want to take care of their day-to-day responsibilities, and in fact will stop doing those things. People will lose jobs and lose friendships because they simply don't have the energy to keep up with them anymore. When we talk about depression, we think about this idea of an episode. And people will experience an episode, and then maybe months later we'll have another episode. But in between that time, they can be in a normal mood state. They can be happy, outgoing, creative, be interested in the things around them, be interested in their loved ones, and not be depressed. And in fact, that's what's normal. So when most people think about depression and think about that depressed person, that's not actually what we see clinically. What we see clinically is people with what we call recurrent depression. The person who has a depressed episode lasting a couple of weeks, then maybe goes on to be completely normal for a while, and then has another episode. When we treat depression, the goal is to try to prevent future episodes. So somebody who has depression that lasts, say, 3 to 4 weeks, you could wonder why they need to be on a medication at all. And the whole point of getting on a medication at that point is to try to prevent it from relapsing, which is important to people because the actual episodes of depression can be very, very disabling. I'm Dr. Jason Miller, and I'm here just to give you a little bit of information about depression. I hope that today was helpful. Thank you.